It's that time again. It's time for another virtual model railroad show on Coffee and Trains. Welcome everybody to another edition of Coffee and Trains. Before we begin, I'm finishing up my Hunter Brothers Colombian Supremo, and as always, black with 2 sugars. Okay, so today it's another virtual model railroad show. You guys have sent me some more great submissions, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first one is actually one that I submitted myself. I took a trip with the DIY twins to a local model railroad club, the Cherryville Model Railroad Club, and they have this absolutely amazing display setup. It's got an HO scale, an O scale, it's got some G scale, and even standard gauge. It is built in the old Cherryville Railroad Depot. It is on an active CSX line, so there's also some good rail fanning literally right on the back porch. And basically you can take a look at some of these photos and you can see that like it is an absolutely massive setup. Mostly HO, but it does have a good size O scale and G scale. And the standard gauge, which a lot of you may not know of, is one of the original gauges of model railroads. And this locomotive right here is over 100 or nearly 100 years old. Now this was the first time the DIY twins had been to a model railroad that was open house, being able to see it. Naturally, they wanted to grab everything, so it's kind of managing them, but managed to take a few pictures. I hope I can get back and show you guys some more of this place because it's just a really, really neat place. All right, on to the Virtual Model Railroad Show submissions. We're going to start with Robert Breden. I hope I'm saying that right. And he's showing us a setup that he's doing with his soon-to-be 5-year-old son. I love it when this kind of stuff is done, and it absolutely shows that you can share the hobby with your kids. But check some of this out. They're doing a lot of the cardboard display and cardstock type deal, and this is really cool. This is one thing that I don't see a lot of people considering, especially if you're on a budget. There's a lot of ways to do cardstock buildings and cardboard buildings, and this is just someone that I'm seeing that is doing that. It's really, really cool. It's not a complex layout, but it's something that he's doing with his son, and I think that that is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much, Robert, for sending that in. Next up is Henry Van Wyck, and this is all the way from South Africa. From those of you who don't know, there's actually, based on how many comments and emails, that there's actually a pretty big model railroad contingent in South Africa compared to a lot of other countries. I think it's a lot larger than even people in South Africa may know, because I get a lot of emails from people from South Africa. But he wanted to show me his layout. It is HO scale. He's done mostly HO scale in his model railroading career, with a little bit of in scale that he said he did when he was in high school. But look at some of these photos. They're absolutely fantastic. I especially love his photo of this steamer right here. Another great submission, says that he has about the bottom deck of his layout, he has about 90% complete, and his second deck is about 50% complete. If you want to check him out more, he has a website that I will link in the description below. So thank you, Henry, all the way from South Africa, for sending that in. Next up, we have a big setup from Mr. Jeffrey Perdue. He's actually bought a couple of buildings from my Etsy shop, some of the HO scale buildings, and he's detailed them up, and he wanted to send a few photos as well of that. But check out this setup. This is in HO scale, and this just looks like a ton of fun to run, and you can tell that Jeffrey really has a passion for the hobby. This is a dedicated train room, it looks like, and it's absolutely, just looks like a ton of fun to run some trains on and have a little bit of operations on. So thank you, Jeffrey, for sending those in. Last but certainly not least, we have Thomas Banks sending us in something a little different that we don't typically show on the channel. This is his setup that he's built to control his layout. He's waiting on a preformed in-scale layout from Knock, but he has built a DCC++ EX setup with a Raspberry Pi 3. It looks absolutely, it's astounding. I love seeing this kind of wiring. You can tell he took his time to make it nice and neat. And he also sent me a little video of it running a little test loop. So showing that it works, showing that it's going, and he's obviously going to build that into his layout that he is waiting on. So thank you so much, Thomas, for sending that in. If you're into doing the electronic side of this, just check out this setup. It looks really, really cool. Remember, if you want your railroad included in a virtual model railroad show, you can send those pictures in to ddrrcommunity@gmail.com. That's listed in the description below. That's ddrrcommunity@gmail.com. I promise you I do read all the emails. It's really tough for me to get back to all the emails that are in there, but I promise you I do read them. So if I haven't responded to you, don't worry. I've read your email and I really, really appreciate it. So let me get on to some of the coffees that you guys are drinking. Ken Ray says that he is sipping on some chock full of nuts coffee. That sounds very, very intriguing. So Keegan, SEVA, which I'm assuming means Southeastern Virginia, is drinking Pale Horse Cinnamon Blend with a dash of oat milk. I do love my oat milk in my coffee. And he says that Pale Horse is a local veteran-owned small business out of Chesapeake, Virginia. They make their own coffee, and it is amazing. Well, thanks for letting me know about that, Keegan. Patrick Hall says that he is drinking Maxwell House Original Blend. Nothing wrong with a classic, Patrick. And last but not least, Patrick Kelly says that he gets his caffeine from Diet Coke. Hey, whatever keeps you going and whatever gets you up in the morning, Patrick. So thank you guys so much for watching. Remember in the comments below to tell me what coffees you're drinking. And again, if you want to submit your railroad for the Virtual Model Railroad Show, you can do that at ddrrcommunity@gmail.com. Also, if you've submitted before and you've done some more work, feel free to send me updates. I have several people that send me updates on their model railroad. So thank you guys so much for watching. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. They are listed right here. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month. They get a heads up on some things that are coming up. Plus they get a discount on my Etsy store. They get a 10% discount. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.